This episode of TRS is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook at audiblepodcast.com/totallyrad. On today's TRS, we don our nano suits and get down and dirty with Crysis 2.
Crysis was first released for the PC. It melted everyone's hardware. It was the first-person shooter that was the benchmark for, can your computer play this?
Yeah.
Now Crysis 2 is out, and it's debuting a new version of the Cry engine from Crytek. And to prove that they can make it playable on lots of things, it's also a console game. And we actually played Crysis 2 on the Xbox 360. And the idea behind Crysis 2 is more involving what the first game had to do with, which was this nano suit. You are a super soldier in a nano suit that allows you to allocate resources to 3 different pillars of action. You can be stealth, go invisible for a little while. You can be power, which lets you jump high and grab onto things, or you can be armored, which lets you take more damage and dish out more punishment. So you can allocate the resources of your suit to do that, and it takes energy. Also, the suit allows you to do tactic analysis of the battlefield. You pull down your visor, and it gives you little points that you can highlight, and each section of this game is basically a little arena. The storyline is that there's an alien invasion in New York City. The game takes place all over the metropolis of New York City. Alex, what did you think of Crysis 2?
This game is amazingly awesome and fun. This is the game that I wish we had seen in Homefront. You know, not only, I mean, I may have been filtered into specific hallways at specific times, but boy, I didn't feel like that was what was happening. You know what I mean? I think the tactics, first off, the game, gorgeous.
I would say best looking console game ever.
That is the quote that's on the front of the box.
How did they get my quote before I said it?
Steph
From
Banana?
Steph Banana, yeah.
Damn you, Steph! Daily callback.
Yeah, exactly. Just gorgeous game, super smooth. A couple little chugs here and there, but I mean, at that point, you're like, dude, so much stuff is happening on the screen. You can chug every couple, whatever, fine.
And 1080p.
Yeah, no, just snappy.
Almost never see that.
And pretty smooth, and I really enjoyed the sort of weapon upgrade system that it kind of, you didn't get pulled out of the action, you had to kind of like find a spot. And the action was still going on, you know what I mean? I think the thing that made this game really shine for me was the tactical options. The fact that you could throw down that visor, look at the situation as it was laid out, mark guys that you were like, God, that guy's gonna be a problem. I'm just gonna mark him so now I know where he is all the time. But then also that they're like, here are these tactical options. You can, you know, if you wanna go stealth, here's a place where you would go stealth. Because usually you sort of fall into those things in games where you're like, oh, what's happening? Oh, maybe I can go down under this thing, you know what I mean? And
it really highlights the level design.
Yeah,
it's like, this is kind of what we designed you to do.
Yeah. If you wanna jump up on a ledge, here's a ledge you can jump up on. But really, a lot of variations of what to do while you are getting to those places. So it's not just that. You know, and it was way more sort of Half-Life 2 storytelling than Homefront, where you sort of are forced to stop at these arbitrary points where two people just sort of stand and talk at each other, and then you're allowed to go forward, where you're really going in and there's a guy and stuff's happening, but he's telling you things and you're kind of like, I don't know what's happening, you know what I mean? So it was really, I had a blast, yeah. I was pretty surprised.
Dan, we've had a lot of first-person shooters already in 2011. What do you think Crysis 2 ranks?
And I've been in the mood for these first-person shooters all of a sudden. I was ready for them, and I agree about the graphics. That it really shows that Homefront is like rough around the edges. When you look at when we just played that game, and now we look at this. I don't think it's the best looking game. I don't agree with Steph Banana. But I did think it was damn fine looking.
What would you say is better?
I don't know. Maybe Black Ops. Maybe the one Killzone. There was I feel like there's another game we played recently that I said had really good cinematography. What was that? I don't know. Maybe in Killzone. I don't know.
Dragon Age.
But definitely not. But I had fun. Not as much fun as I wanted to have. But I did love the. I love the suit. I don't know why we don't have more first-person shooters that give you the powers that you would have in a third-person action game.
Fun, yeah.
The idea of sliding and jumping and super jump and all that stuff. But it gave me just enough but it didn't really do it. Like I kind of wanted to have a Mirror's Edge type experience that probably Brink will be. I kind of really wanted to do like traverse crazy up walls and but it didn't quite do that. But it was cool, and it's interesting. I agree. The visor, seeing this, the thing that's always there in video games, but this brings it to the forefront, brings up a very interesting philosophical point, because I tend to love that in video games. I love when, like, we've been playing games our whole lives where we have to put a certain amount of bullets into someone to kill them, and then we get a joy when they die. But suddenly a game comes out and it puts.
Interesting way of putting it.
Murder simulators. Go on.
Suddenly a game comes out and they put XP over them, and we go, oh, that's always sort of been there in games. We just never saw what was the numbers underneath. And it seems like every time a game brings it to the forefront, I enjoy it even more, which goes against what a lot of games try and do now, which is immersion. And it's sort of weird that the more pleasure I get out of a movie or a book or a comic is how inside it I feel. And in a video game, I'm almost more, there's both sides of the coin work, but to a degree, the more I see behind the scenes of it, the more
Which is where
I'm
being in the
enjoyment.
suit really helps, because you can get that sort of tactical information in a real world environment where you're like, of course I would get that information because I'm in a tactical suit.
Makes sense,
But,
Yeah, I was blown away by Crysis 2. I'm absolutely blown away by it. We've been talking about a lot of FPSs lately in 2011. I think Bulletstorm had a unique fun that I haven't found ever before in a first-person shooter. But other than that fun factor, I'm most impressed with Crysis 2, and I think I'm most surprised by it. Visually, I've never felt more like I'm actually in New York City than I did in this game, and I think that has to do with the density of stuff in the environment, and the art design is just spectacular. You move through these war-torn elements in skyscrapers. You're inside, you're outside. There's always lots of stuff around, and half the time you can interact with it. You can pick up newspaper on the ground. You can grab a shoe that's laying there, the strewn from some corpse. You can, you can use the water machine. You can pick up a phone. You can turn the copier on. Little stuff like that, I think, goes a long way. And just how everything is laid out. I think the level design is really awesome, and I love the creativity that you're allowed to decide how you want to tackle each of these little arenas. I also found the first person, or the single player campaign to be exactly what Homefront isn't, which is long, intense, epic, tons of incredible moments that blew my mind, but it's also what Homefront isn't in a bad way, which is Homefront does such a great job of compelling me forward with a story that I found emotionally interesting and compelling. But this game, the story is ridiculous. It never comes together. It's kind of just dumb and intentionally ambiguous, and just there's never any real interest in finding out what happened. And even when you do find out what happened at the end, it's like, I don't. But the environment is so interesting. I didn't get a chance to say on the show, but I did on my blog on jeffcanada.com that I went and saw Battle Los Angeles, and I really liked it. I really liked it. This game feels like Battle New York. I feel like I'm a soldier, the alien invasion happened, I'm in New York, there's a series of skirmishes, of course we're eventually gonna get to Times Square, of course we're eventually, there's gonna be Brooklyn Bridge collapses, I'm on it. There's an amazing thing that happens with Central Park that I don't wanna spoil. It's like, it hits all the right things, and it is 12, 15 hours of content that is all such awesome content. What are you gonna say?
I mean, it's interesting that you say that because
wait, what were you gonna say?
I saw your review about LA, and I know we disagreed on the point that you're bringing up right now, which is you felt like you were really in LA. And I actually disagree with that as well.
Louisiana,
in
right?
this.
L.A., Louisiana.
And I feel the same way about this game. That I felt the opposite, kind of than how you feel. Is that it felt, and also the things that you're bringing up, where you can pick up the newspaper, you can pick up, that all felt very clunky in this game. And those are things that are in games like Half-Life, where the pacing is very different, and you feel like you're in this world, and it's a much slower experience, and it's a slow burn, and there's atmosphere. And this felt like I'm really just in a first-person shooter, and then I can pointlessly pick up this thing that doesn't do anything for me.
I recognize that.
There even were things like that Jox brought up about Homefront, where like kicking doors down that I couldn't, or doors that I could. I didn't feel like you did in Homefront, but I actually felt that stuff here more often. And the level design here, even though it was cool, there's nowhere to go. It never really like it teased me. Just like the suit teased me with its powers. Being in New York for the hot second teased me with, oh, this is awesome. It's in New York, and then I got into other areas that weren't really, the Brooklyn Bridge, and then it's cloudy and I can't see anything.
I thought that was so cool.
It was cool. It was cool for a second, but then it's like, then I'm in not that area.
And then you get in a car and you drive down the FDR, and then, it's like...
Oh, I didn't feel that. I felt like I was in future world. Like, I never really felt like I'm in... Like, I kind of wish there was, like, people happening.
Well, there's some people, refugees, that
yeah,
are, like, all, like, shaking in the corner.
Yeah. That you can force
Anyway.
push.
Wow.
I don't totally disagree with what you're saying, but I definitely felt differently.
Interesting.
And, we didn't have a chance to talk about the multiplayer, but the multiplayer is also solid. And you can check out a multiplayer demo, which I don't think is representative of what the single player is like. If you're judging the game purely on that,
no, don't do that.
I didn't love the multiplayer, but
It's not about the multiplayer of this game.
yeah, it's a really great experience for me.
All right, everybody, remember this is our 4-year anniversary week, so please stick around. We're going to be showing you a little bit more of our favorite moments from all of last year. But first, sponsors, Jeffrey.
One of my favorite moments from this year is being able to talk about Audible.com. Because Audible's been around for years, and this is the first year that they freaking sponsored our show. And I've been mad that they didn't before now, but I'm so glad they are, because I love this service and I want to tell you about it. It's a way to read more. It's a way to consume books while you're doing something else, which is what I love about it. Audiobooks. Audible.com is a resource for thousands and thousands of audiobooks. And I'm able to exercise, do chores, drive, commute places, and listen, digest really great books. What?
I'm excited.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I do a lot of recommending of fantasy, sci-fi books on this show. I'm gonna do something a little different. One of my favorite authors is Jonathan Franzen. He wrote The Corrections. I'm excited about his newest, which came out a little while ago, called Freedom. I haven't had a chance to read that one yet, but I can highly recommend The Corrections. If you want it's a family drama, really, really powerful, poignant, super well written. I'm sure you'll relate to it if you're anything like me. Highly recommend that one. You can get a free audiobook. I don't know, I think it's a free trial we're offering, right? Free audiobook. Free audiobook, even better.
3D audiobook.
3D. It's 3D. By going to audible.podcast.com/totallyrad.
Amazing. All right, people, we will see you tomorrow. Whoop.
Tomorrow, we play Media Mashup.
We're celebrating our 4-year anniversary all week long, and I've got to live out a lot of childhood dreams on this show.
Some that turned into nightmares.
One that turned into a little bit of a nightmare this year, but I wouldn't change a second of it, other than maybe stretching a little more beforehand.
I think Dan might have changed the bathroom bit.
When we got to actually get in the ring and learn a little professional wrestling. I've been a fan of professional wrestling my whole life, and I always fantasize about what it might be like. Turns out, not exactly like the fantasy, much more painful, as I'm sure you'll see in this little retrospective of us doing that.
And then you try to pop back up, like, keep going.
Just so you know, everybody always
Man.
Did you throw
How you
it?
doing, Dan? Oh, yeah.
Not the right color.
No.
Yeah.
What McDonald's is this? You want to try this?
I'm just not a big
Flipping.
throw up person. Yeah. Can you feel that?